I think it's very late at your place. You in Vietnam, right?
It is 10:15 p.m. now.
I
So not too late.
At this time I already go to bed. So
Oh,
I go to
so
bed.
most of my work days end at 4 a.m.
I used to be like this. Are you there? Because you stopped. You froze.
I'm
Oh, you
here.
can.
Can you
Okay,
hear
you
me?
there. Yeah. It's
Yep.
okay. Maybe. I used to go to bed in the morning, and then I suddenly changed, and now I go to bed at 10 p.m., which is troublesome because if something important happen in crypto, I'm not available between 10 p.m. 8 a.m. I don't touch my phone no matter what. There will be market dump. There will be. I will not touch it. I will not like because I do not allow this stress to happen to me. So I prefer to sleep
So,
well.
I mean, I think that's wise. I can't say that I practice that personally, especially with the high availability systems. Actually, sleep is a mess, right? Sleep is like, gotta do it when you can. I think that in the next couple of months, we're at Notional going to. There's two things that I think are going to help with that. One is automating the deployment to the chain registry, which is going to help us to run our relayers like with less difficulty, less maintenance. And then the other one is just going to be like being a little bit more selective about what chains we validate.
Are
Initially,
you going to remove some
we
chains?
probably not.
I tell you
Um,
something. I like the validators when I go and I see they validate only 5 chains because there is like, oh, okay, they are committed to these 5 chains. But if I go to the website and there is validate and there's like 40 chains, I'm like that. And if they also validate chains on like Solana, Polkadot, I'm like, nah, I want you to be Cosmos Maxi, you know?
so, I mean, we are Cosmos Maxis. We thought about looking into both Solana and Polkadot, but actually, the decision against that pretty much followed what you just described. It's not really about maximalism, though. It's actually about like we know how to run the Cosmos systems. We know how to do that really well, and I mean, although I'll share this right now. I'm the only person who doesn't have COVID because I got it in December. Everybody else has COVID. So you're normally
Yeah.
Notional Labs is a 10-person engineering team, right? At present, Notional Labs is hi, I'm Jacob, and the others they're around, but ill, and we're just sort of like keeping everything up, and we're gonna regroup in a week. It was
So
really
so you're okay now, and
unexpected.
Vietnam has the spike right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh
I
yeah.
think
There is a spike, all right.
I had COVID month ago. I didn't test it, but I'm pretty sure I had it, and it was like after 3 shots. Like I mean, like because now, like like the shots don't give you much protection from infection, but it was absolutely fine. I was doing push-ups every day despite that. Like so like I assume I had it because I lost my sense of smell for 2 days, which was strange because I read
Did you smell weird things as well?
I lost it completely and this was very strange.
Mm.
So because they said with Omicron you don't lose this. Hey LJ, with Omicron they say you don't lose it. But then I had like very stinky towel, right? That I was using already for 2 weeks. And I'm like, I can't smell shit. and and it was the weirdest thing ever. So I assume it must have been COVID. My father was sick at the same time a little bit, but it
Mm.
was extremely mild. It was like I got one day I got like a temperature 37.4. I'm not sure how much it's in Fahrenheit for 3 hours, and then it was gone. And 2 days later, I lost sense of smell for 2 days. So that was
Hmm.
my, and I assume it was COVID. Never tested, right?
Right. I did
And
test. I came up negative, but like I slept for about 10 days at the end of
yeah, it's my
December.
girlfriend now. It's my girlfriend now. She also like she's also after 3 shots. She's in Hong
Mm-hmm.
Kong because I never told you I live in Hong Kong years, and
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
I ended up in Poland just because of the pandemic. I came to visit my parents and I never left
Gotcha.
because Hong Kong has
Uh,
COVID zero and locked the
mhm.
borders. So I
Yep.
never was able to go back to Hong Kong, right?
I didn't know that. And so, like, I'm in
Yeah,
Vietnam because of that. I
yeah.
don't plan to leave, actually.
Sorry, sorry.
I don't plan to leave Vietnam, but
No, it's
yeah,
Vietnam is
that's how
good.
I ended up here originally.
Yeah, like so you ended up because of pandemic. You came and you stayed.
I was here
Yeah,
when it began. I was
and
here in
and you got
December,
stuck
or sorry, in
and never.
January of
Yeah, yeah,
2020. And like, well, we got there in January, and then we were only going to be here for like a month or two.
yeah.
And work went really well though, and then there was just this whole virus thing going on, and it was like, well, we probably shouldn't travel. They're here with my wife and kid, and yeah, now we're just
Oh,
here.
you have wife. You have wife.
Yeah, yeah.
How long you've been married?
I've been married for 3 years.
Oh, that's cool. Like I'm engaged. I engaged to my girlfriend in October. When she
Yeah,
visited from
nice.
Hong Kong, we decided like okay, quick engagement. And I was about to
There you
fly back to Hong Kong in December to marry her, but then
go.
Hong Kong closed the borders again. So
Yeah. Oh no, it's been travel's been hell, man. Travel's been really, really bad.
yeah, I used to I never been to Vietnam, which is I traveled a lot in
Mhm.
Thailand, Cambodia, Philippines, Indonesia, and stuff like this. I never went to Vietnam. I really want to go to Vietnam. Really want to go to
It's
Vietnam,
nice
but
here.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, if you're traveling, the center of the country is really where I would go. And I'm talking like north south, right?
yeah.
The Da Nang area is truly gorgeous. Hanoi, for whatever reason, seems to work out really well for me, like work wise. But the blockchain scene is mainly in Ho Chi Minh City, actually.
And is your wife American?
No, my wife is Cambodian.
Oh, okay. So you were in Cambodia, met your wife
Mm-hmm.
there, and
Mm-hmm.
you married. Okay, and
Yeah,
now
then
you
traveled
both
back to the
live.
States, set up a Bitcoin mine, and then moved over here. Like it was actually just going to be like a consulting thing,
Yeah.
short term.
So what's
But
your history? Like you 3 years in Vietnam now. Before that, what was there?
mm, so 20. I mean, I've actually lived all around the world for quite a long time. So if we were to kind of go in order, from the time I was 18 years old, Buffalo, New York, to Chicago, to Rome, Italy, to Accra, Ghana, to Chicago again, to South Korea, back to Buffalo, um, back to South Korea, back to
What in
Buffalo.
South Korea? What were you doing in South Korea?
I was teaching
Okay,
English at a
okay.
school in Apgujeong, and that actually turned into like kind of also doing some software work. Um, it's weird because it's not certainly not what I practice, right? And then so after that, I went back to the States. And then I in 2012 moved to China, and that's when I got into
Where
crypto.
about China?
Shanghai.
Okay.
Uh,
Do I speak it like you were
and
in Korea? I was in Korea. You were living in Shanghai. I went to once to Shanghai to watch UFC live. So we have the kind of like like it's cool. That's why I'm asking. I'm doing this about yeah.
uh,
What then?
oh, well, so I was teaching history for some time in Shanghai. Technically, that's what my degree is history. And
Wasn't it problem? You are like American history teacher, and China has slightly different history, no?
not really. I mean, I was teaching high school students who had moved to the United States, and I mean, the
So you were
goal with
working
it,
in the
twofold goal.
international school.
Actually, it was an
Okay.
international school inside of a public school. A little
Okay, I understand. So it wasn't you were
unusual
not
arrangement.
so you are not teaching Chinese kids necessarily. I
I
mean
was
also
teaching Chinese kids. No, yeah, teaching Chinese kids.
oh okay.
I don't know if you know the test they all take, the Gaokao. Our students would not take the Gaokao, which is the college entrance test.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, our students were basically being prepared to finish high school in the States, graduate with an American high school degree. So, like, we were teaching to California Regent standards. And then would, attend university in the United States as well. And I really enjoyed that. The internet started to be highly censored in China, and this is how I got into Bitcoin. Searching around, learning about the Made Safe project, and I swear within 6 months of getting into crypto, I left that job, moved down to Shenzhen, China,
Then
and
close
sort of
to the Hong
began
Kong
doing what
border.
I do
I
now.
also was I
Yeah.
was also was in Shenzhen. Um
Oh yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
yeah, because it's like it just was like 2 or 3 days because it's good for like day trip, having like nice bubble tea. There is like really good bubble tea with like cheese
Right.
on top, very delicious.
Right.
It's famous
Mm-hmm.
place in Shenzhen, and my girlfriend is from Hong Kong, so she loves bubble tea. um
There you go. Did you go to
but
Huacheng Bay?
sorry.
Huacheng Bay?
uh
Uh,
no. Where?
it's, no, okay. Huacheng Bay is the giant electronics market in Shenzhen.
No,
And
no, no.
John,
I didn't.
that's
I
a
didn't go
good
there. I
question.
I actually feel like I didn't go. Like I assumed for Haiti. Yui is my fiance, so she says the name
Oh,
is Haiti. Haiti, the
Haiti.
place. Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I didn't go to electric market in Shenzhen, but it's like if you live in Hong, like because I mean for maybe export electronics, that's good market, but for buying for personal, Hong Kong is pretty good. It's very very cheap
Oh, Hong
there.
Kong is pretty good. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's no
they have all
tax,
the stuff.
right? so
Yeah.
so so she said
Hey.
we will talk on Evmos. I will touch about
Yeah.
later.
Should we jump right into that?
I will I just want to talk about random stuff a little bit,
Okay.
because
I
how
mean
long.
that's
Yeah,
totally cool with me.
you're in Shenzhen, and then
Shenzhen, and then Hong Kong for a few
oh,
weeks, but
so
it was
you were in Hong
2014.
Kong. How did you like
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I like Hong Kong very much.
Yeah,
Hong Kong is
amazing place.
yeah, it's great.
And it's so
Um,
beautiful, right? I mean,
yep.
the city and the mountains behind. I feel a little bit heartbroken because as I lived there for 3 years, I actually considered Hong Kong my home. My company is registered
Mm,
in Hong Kong, right? It's still
mm,
there. And most of my friends are in Hong Kong now, and I got like
mm-hmm.
banned because of COVID, from because I never
Oh
had a
no.
residence, because many of these places allow you to be 3 months on the tourist and you can just
Mm-hmm.
leave and go. So I was living this way for 3 years, and
Right.
this
You
was
would cross a border and then come
just to
back and cross a
Macau.
border
I
and then
would
come back.
took a ferry
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Macau, fly to Thailand with my girlfriend or whatever, and that was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely fine till COVID happened. Then I got
Yeah.
basically banned from the place I love, right?
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
place in the
That's tough.
past 2 years changed a lot because of the you know because of the China expanding a little bit more, because Hong Kong belongs to China with completely different law, but now it's changing. So
Yeah.
they make Hong Kong more of Chinese and trying to, let's say, force the love on Hong Kong people, which basically do not love mainland China, but they have to love mainland China, which they actually don't, and that causes the all of the issues, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey Dave, I saw your comment. I will respond to that. I'm good. So thank you for the So that was my Hong like it's such a beautiful place, the entrepreneurship, the spirit of the freedom, the capitalism of Hong Kong. That was always like very beautiful thing to me. Where did you stay in Hong Kong? You remember?
Oh, barely. I mean, that was 14. I could tell you a hotel somewhere in the center-ish of the city, but that wouldn't tell you much, right?
Yeah.
And I've been there a number of other times too, working with a Hong Kong-based group from 2019 to 2021. Um, but I left Hong Kong in 2014 because that whole umbrella revolution thing
Yeah, it
kicked
was
in.
then.
And I
So
flew to Vietnam.
I wasn't then, like, so I went there like December 2016. Hong Kong, I think they're niche, but they seem to be quite active in the Cosmos ecosystem. So I can say the validator, the centralized HK, there is crypto.com is based of Hong Kong.
Hmm.
uh CRO, like, I think it's registered in Hong Kong, and I think the devs are from Hong Kong. Then there is Litecoin. Have you heard Litecoin?
Yep. Yeah.
It's
Well, so
also
we validate Litecoin,
and
but
it's also
actually
Hong Kong. It's also Hong Kong.
yes,
It's Hong Kong. So
the
many.
the the biggest touch point I have with Cosmos in Hong Kong is definitely the four ball team.
Oh,
Um,
are they also from
like
there? Forball is
yeah,
from Hong
yeah,
Kong.
yep. And I've actually met them in person, and that's rare. Like, because I've been, my full time work in Cosmos actually started post COVID, right? I worked in Cosmos before then, but not full time. Just kind of like as a contributor. I was just like an interested guy, shall we say.
Yeah.
Um, and I started at Tendermint under Jay in January 2020, I think. Like right around the time that I arrived in Vietnam. We got Max. Max is a dog. Excellent.
You know Max?
No, I don't know Max. I mean,
Oh.
but my dog's a poodle, not a Frenchie. I don't know.
uh,
They might
Max the
fight.
Frenchie. I didn't
Uh,
know the Forball is from Hong Kong. So they are behind Desmos. Are they behind anything else? Forball? Big validator.
I would
Very big
call
validator.
them chronic contributors. So like,
Yeah. But it's
I
crazy
don't. I
because
think that Desmos is their like main jam, right?
Mhm.
But they've contributed to the Cosmos Hub. They've contributed to the SDK.
Yeah.
They've contributed to Tendermint. They've really been around the
Why
entire stack.
why so many validators and projects out? I assume because it's small place, only 7 million people, right? 7.5, but quite many from Hong Kong. I would. You think it's because the tax, or just very.
I think people from Hong Kong are really smart.
Yeah, yeah,
To be
yeah.
honest with you.
I hope
Yeah.
they
No.
will
No.
not.
Seriously, it's a
I hope they will not
strong
crack
and
down on
intelligent culture.
this. I actually, I want, like, I sold my Desmos. Many people wouldn't like this, but the reason for like that is I'm quite so I maybe I shouldn't say it because I got it for free airdropped. Very nice, very kind. I appreciate. But I sold Desmos because it's very hard to imagine for myself the social network or based on crypto. I don't think people will move. Well, I don't. Many people will not like. I don't think people will move out of the standard uh, social networks, and this is the reason.
So, um, interesting. Okay, so I should tell you that, like, actually, the thing that pulled me into crypto full time was actually blogging on Steam.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. You
I
did. You did tell me that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I do figure that Richard, it's not, and Martin, if you want, I believe it might be a good idea to jump onto Evmos for a second. I
Yeah,
think people have a lot of legit
let's do
questions.
Evmos because
All
this
right.
was the reason actually why I messaged you. Because
Oh, okay.
there was so much thing happening. Let me um maybe I share it on the Neta Discord. There is always some people.
Ah, cool. Yeah, yeah. Feel free to, and if you were to tweet it too, I could tweet that you and I are about to discuss Evmos launch because,
But
all right,
I
I
don't
mean,
know
so
like why
far,
I cannot copy the link now, and I don't know why.
oh, to our chat. Uh, well,
Mm.
how are these people talking to us? How about that?
Oh,
That should let us.
this is the chat. But like, hey guys who are talking,
Hmm?
can you share the link maybe on Discord about the because
Ah, yeah. Or
I usually
good idea.
could easily copy the link, right? But now uh I don't seem to have the link to our chat now, and I don't know. Um I just have the rest like what's the link in the app? Is it the no like the our chat room? Is this
I got it. There we
yeah,
go. There we go.
not the one I
There
sent you
we
on
go.
Twitter, but the main one.
And
Oh,
I'll post that to Twitter too, and
oh,
I'll say that we're going to discuss this. And bring your questions. And maybe the most important thing. I think they didn't test the airdrop.
so
Um,
let me
well,
let me do so. Evmos
they
recently highly anticipated blockchain that is EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine on Cosmos launched that meant to bring other chains to Cosmos ecosystem. You could easily bring Ethereum assets to Cosmos. Is it correct, Jacob? If I say something wrong, you correct me.
yeah, I just got a message. What we should try and get Joe Abbey to join us. Okay.
Oh, can he? Can he?
Um,
Because I always wanted to speak to him.
mm, let's see. Will you DM me and join us?
Is the link that
Uh,
I sent you, right? The link that I sent you before is the same link, so he can join.
all right. There we go. Let's try it out here.
This is the link you can send to him, and he can join. I
Perfect.
the reason
So,
why I also want to talk to him because he knows Pupmos and he he
he
translated the white
knows
paper.
Putmos?
He translated the white
Oh,
paper, so we might assume that he's close collaboration to Patmos, or at least he knows him.
well,
He exchanged
maybe.
messages with him, like right. We need to ask him. So that's
Well,
why
I mean, Putmos is a dog, though.
yeah.
So,
But he knows him. He translated the white paper,
uh,
so I
I don't
think
know,
he
man.
he might know something about Pupmos, right? Like would be interesting. Uh, did you send message to him if he could?
Yes, I did. I just sent it to him now. So this is interesting. This wow. Uh, his tweet. He just made a tweet about Evmos, and he says that he might have gotten tombstoned on the network, which is interesting. Tombstone is what happens when you sign the same block twice. You basically you're like kicked out of the network. Um, and that's very surprising because I don't know. No, see, there has to be another
So that's the
like a
jab.
secondary issue. I don't think he would. Ah, he is around.
So yeah, like what happened? What happened to the Evmos? The maybe not many people will like realize, but like do the introduction to Evmos in the simple words for someone who is not
Sure.
involved in the Evmos.
All right. So Evmos is it's an implementation of the Ethereum virtual machine on the Cosmos SDK using Tendermint for storage. And what's happened so far All right, I'm gonna like kind of look at these questions here. Okay, we got like lack of Evmos testing, doesn't fill users with confidence. And it's Joe. We have Joe. Joe was also
Nice to
a
meet you.
testnet Evmos validator. Hey, Joe, how you doing? Can you
Seems
hear
no
us?
microphone.
Yeah, it was
Oh, I bet
muted.
he'll be here.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Hey, it's Joe.
Nice to meet you. I delegate to you.
He's
For
a good
now.
person to delegate to.
Yeah. It's because
High
of you.
technical skill.
It's actually because of you.
Ah,
You
excellent.
told me about Joe, and I start delegating to him. So and he's he get the top speed in epoch times of on osmosis, but I don't stake osmosis. I only do LP, but that's the good sign. So like I start delegating my Juno to Joe.
Nice.
Sweet.
Nice.
So
Well, Joe
Jacob,
is good.
continue on Evmos, and
All
Joe
right.
can take the part in that. With the like continuing with introduction, what is Evmos, and what happened after the launch, and where we
Sure.
are now.
It's Ethereum smart contracts for Cosmos, and it's also been a project that everybody's been waiting for approximately forever. I mean, I was involved in Cosmos as far back as 2016, and yeah, we were talking about this then. So it was really, really a happy thing for everybody to see this thing finally kick off. And I mean, Joe, the way I'm looking at it is sort of like this is a complexity is real and shit happens sort of problem. I do feel like there were, a whole bunch of test nets, a whole bunch of, fairly rigorous testing. Yes, the tests miss stuff. Absolutely. But, on Twitter, I said, well, that there is not a magical meter on a piece of software that just says, this test is, you're good. You've tested the right conditions. I wish there was. If you could make such a meter, it would be valuable.
Yeah, I mean, so unlike normal upgrades that we tend to see, basically Saturday there was a rush to join a telegram about a security upgrade, and that it was going to be deployed in about 6 hours. And so it was
not standard stuff.
Yeah, so it was a call to all the validators to say whether or not they'd be available at that time. And of course, it's a worldwide project, so there's a lot of time zones to consider. And so we were able to see that we got a little bit more than 68% of voting power to agree to do the upgrade. But there was like a timeline of, are we going to be available? Converging with, is the patch ready? And so there was some, last minute changes that needed to happen. And they decided to defer the upgrade for another like 10,000 blocks or so. So then we get to March 6th, I guess, depending on your time zone. So the update is going to be at block height 58,700. You had to have version 1.1.2 already pre-upgraded because it would have the pointer to move to 2.0. 2.0 had to be staged, and so everything was good to go. We hit block 58,700, and then everything stops because there was a bug. There was a bug in the handling of some JSON marshalling, and
is it really just that simple? Ouch.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it was Marshall and codec being confused. Was it that?
Yeah, unmarshaled JSON cannot handle empty bytes or something like that. And so there was some params.
That's unbelievable. Okay, I don't know if you know, but I wrote the osmosis upgrade from 42 to 44. And you read my comment on the PR, it actually says, I just hate marshalling.
Right.
It was a vast amount of work.
Sure.
Right? It was
Yeah.
probably like, I don't know, 80, 100 hours of work, right? But it was just me like, no, I hate this. Go has Marshall. The Cosmos SDK shouldn't have Marshaller. Codec is
Right.
better. Let's do it.
Yeah, so version 2.0.1 was released, and that goes out. And so all the validators sort of piecemeal start to upgrade, and then we see the pre-votes array go up to 64, 65, 66, 67. And we're like, all right, great, blocks. We're producing blocks. We're going to move on. But then something happened at this point that it did not produce blocks. There was some consensus failure somewhere, and we were hung at this point for a good amount of time. And it continued to promote to the next round and to the next round and to the next round. So conventional computer science IT wisdom is try turning it off and on again.
Yeah, well, that's what we do.
And
right?
so folks were then trying to restart their Cosmovisor. They did. But then for some folks, it would hang. For other folks, they wouldn't get the consensus state endpoint back up. And so everybody's like panicking, like, am I voting? Am I active? Am I ready? And so then I don't know if I suggested it first or if somebody else did, but the idea of, well, maybe we're just hung at this point, and if we resync or we reset, we can roll back through, get over whatever hump we're on, and proceed forward. But then people start to see that, oh shit, I did a reset. So my private validator state, which has, what last round state height I've signed, got wiped out. And, then we start committing.
And they have submitted a vote into there. Okay, now here, let me ask though, right? So they, and apparently this includes you, submitted a vote into this block. Was the block committed and then the chain cramped out because over 33% of validators are now tombstoned, or?
So this is where things get weird, right? Like we just did the two.
It sounds it. No, this is very interesting though.
We had just done the 2.0.1 update. We had gotten to 67% consensus. And then we got to the state where peers were dropping. We weren't actually committing the block. And so then people start, panicking. And so I was definitely in that set that was like, okay, well, maybe I can come up with some way of like jump starting it or something of that nature. And of course I was very wrong. And so the priv validator state was not preserved. So when I came back, it appears that I attempted to do a pre-vote, and I had already submitted that vote, which I was surprised because the error looked like it said that, I detected the situation. I'm not going to try to blow it up. At any rate, we get through finally. Some, I believe it's Disperse Network. They finally come back because they had to do a resync as well, so they could get peers and they could join. So then we finally hit the 70%. We commit the block, and then block 58701 starts, and then we start seeing Byzantine behavior detected, which I don't think means you've been tombstone, but I think it means like there's evidence of bad acting happening, bad activity, and so we're going to put this into the evidence block. But we never got past.
Yeah, exactly.
We never got past 63%.
The evidence mechanism is not clear to me. Actually, that's a piece that I haven't studied. The SDK sprawls, as I'm sure you know.
So no validator had actually yet been tombstoned, but Byzantine behavior had been detected. And so at that point, we were all like, well, now what? Because we were at 63% of pre-votes. And my expectation would be if the Byzantine behavior was detected, that evidence was submitted, block 58702 would result in, 5 or 6 validators being tombstoned, flashes being, distributed, and, a sad day, but the network would have gone on. So that's where we are, which is not a great situation.
Well, this is yet more evidence in favor of restarting the chain.
So this is like this is where we are now, right? But I want to also ask about was the launch of Evmos a little bit rushed, because that's another issue. But there is Richard that is asking that there was like issues before, like not working dashboard, IBC transfers, sending it wrong. Like I didn't experience any issues. It was like really good for me. But those issues, what they caused, that persons in the first epoch, they got very high rewards. I don't know, you, Joe or Jacob, were you in the first epoch?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and we both, I did not do the IBC transfer in the first epoch.
I mean, about the rewards, did you have
rewards? I was validating in there, and the rewards were real good, because I started with single digit Evmos and finished that epoch, I think, with 150 or more.
Wow, wow! I didn't do the first epoch, and I think you even posted this how to get the Evmos before the first epoch, and I think it was before first epoch, and I did it the next day. But many people.
I was in the Genesis set. I had 15, allocated to me, which was super generous. Thank you, Evmos devs. I proposed blocks 1, 2, 3. And then as I was watching the epoch approach, I noticed that Cosmos Station jumped from 15 voting power to like 150 voting power. So when the epoch happened, they got the rewards for, like 150. I don't know if those are delegators or who. I got like 3,800 in Evmos for the first epoch, which is just like, wow.
Yeah, so it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm regretting. I didn't.
The same way, yeah.
I didn't. I'm regretting I missed on that. I didn't miss in the next days, which rewards are still very high today. It's not gonna happen, right? But there was many people complaining, and now we are at the situation like where I think you even tweeted about the options restart at 0. And like some people who got these really high rewards doesn't seem to be happy about this. So is it the right solution here? Because this first epoch is kind of issue. It wasn't really. It seems many people don't consider it fair. Even considering the Evmos plan of really wide distribution, this wasn't very wide distribution. It actually ended up being quite centralized at the start.
So let's say we do reset to 0, and let's ignore the over-the-counter trades that are being purported to happen. We now have the broad knowledge of how to claim the rec drop early. So what I would imagine would happen is the Genesis validator set will start, and then immediately everyone will start doing IBC transfers. They'll start doing votes or delegations. They'll start claiming that rec drop early, and then they'll delegate, and so the whole validator set will change, which is totally valid, except if we go back to the thing I said we'd ignore. There's over-the-counter trades. There's potentially IBC funds locked in this network.
I would lose. It's not much, like 1/10 of Osmo.
Right.
And I shot over some
we lost
atoms,
your camera, Jacob, by the way.
Yes, she'll be back shortly.
Oh, okay. So you think it's more fair to actually go back to restart it at 0 and let everyone start again? And was it issue on the Evmos side? Maybe they shouldn't rush it this way. Maybe it should be handled differently.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's always 2020. I don't know which one is more fair than another. I know that there are it would definitely change the game. It'd be like playing chess with someone, getting to checkmate, and then deciding, okay, let's restart the game, but do all the same moves again. But we can't, right? So
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm happy to support whatever the network decides is what needs to go forward.
Yep.
But you know, if I get there's no good outcome that I can identify here. If we resume the chain, I get tombstoned. I then need to unbond my funds if they don't instant unbond and refund my delegators. If we export state from 58,700, then I presume everyone will redelegate from me, and you know I'll probably drop off the active set. And then if we restart from 0, I presume people allocate, or, you know, get as much of the rec drop as possible and delegate to, you know, good validators like smart nodes. Who else is another good one? Occlusion, I don't know, Notional, you know, whoever else is in there. So I assume in that scenario.
Well, I don't know if we're on the doom list or not. Now, let me just tell you that, like, I was asleep. Okay, it was Longins who handled this, and so this is actually, you have now given me a lot of contextual detail that I did not have. We have been working shifts because I was actually just telling Marcin, like, everyone has COVID. Everyone. And, you know, normally we're a team of 10 engineers. Right now we're a team of, like, well, I didn't get COVID because I had it in December. Everybody else got COVID. And Long said to me before the upgrade, no, you can sleep. I got this. I'm busy hacking up my lung. I'm not going to be asleep anyway. So I'm like, okay, all right, cool. I'll take the opportunity and sleep. And that's a very interesting timeline. I'm wondering if we, like, sounds like you only would have needed to restart your node during the intermediary block. It would then, oh, wait, you didn't just restart your node. You restarted the
unsafe reset.
Yeah, okay.
That was
which could have
fatal flaw. Yeah.
I see.
I would like to ask you guys something very basic, maybe. But like there was like I saw there were like arguments on like Cosmoasm over Evmos. What is even like why these two would even like compare to each other? And like is there any take you would have on that? Because I don't really see I don't see connections between these two. These two are essentially Cosmoasm is this the module that you can use, right? The frame to build interoperable blockchains, but Evmos meant to bring the other chains to Cosmos. So why people compare these two?
They're analogous. So Cosmwasm allows you to make interchain, like IBC compatible smart contracts. For example, we're putting Cosmwasm on Dig. Why are we doing that? Well, we're watching all the other chains implement Cosmwasm, and I'm realizing, oh my God, there's going to be a compute mesh. Allow me to explain. So a contract on chain A will be able to speak to a contract on chain B, and this is going to be a lot more than token transfers. Okay, right now, what you can see, like with say Neta being listed on Osmosis, this is only the tip of the iceberg. This is tiny compared to what's going to happen. And the reason that people are comparing, say, like Evmos's /X/EVM module, or are they calling it the Ethermint module? I forget. But either way, you know, it's an implementation of the Ethereum virtual machine. that runs on Cosmos chains, they do the same thing, kind of. And actually, I'm comfortable saying that I do prefer the CosmWasm approach for the reasons of easy reinstantiation of existing contracts that are already on the chain. You can use one of these things infinite times. Whereas like in Ethereum, you actually have to, how shall we put this? In ETH, every ERC20 contract that, it's a doggy,
Joe,
every ERC.
what's the Pupmos doing in your flat?
That's Winston. That's not.
Okay,
I can assure you, I am not Pupmos. He is not Pupmos. I don't know who Pupmos is. I wish I did, but I don't.
Okay.
He looked very content looking out the window, like he wants to learn about the inside of the couch, but he can't. He's very far away.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's a vicious pup or not, who would like to tear the inside of the couch out and put it around. I don't know. Anyhow, well, we don't know. Okay, man. My own puppy, Cookie. Cookie. She would like to tear out the couch as well, but she's very small.
Let's see.
She can't.
How vicious he is.
How vicious is he? Oh, we're gonna get to see him.
Super vicious.
No, wait. Is this Pupmos? Wait. Let's get a look at this guy.
No,
That might be Pupmos.
Is it the?
He might have that vicious look. That might be the dog. Oh my God! What if it's the dog?
Is it the corgi? Is it corgi?
Yep, it's corgi.
Oh, it's corgi. Oh, okay. That's totally not Pupmos. Absolutely not Pupmos. 100%.
Oh, it can't be Pupmos because the dog is a corgi. I don't know.
I wouldn't assume that you are Pupmos, but I think you might know him because.
Well, I believe that both Joe and I have been accused of being Pupmos.
Yes. I initially thought, but Joe, you helped to translate the white paper, actually, right?
Yeah.
So,
I translated the white paper. The white paper into
white paper. So you are in contact with Pupmos, basically.
I mean, we have DM'd, but I really don't know
much. Yeah. When he DM, does he DM the same way? Or
he does. He does. It's in pure Pupmos speak.
Yeah. So we can.
So I haven't messaged Pupmos yet, but I better be doing that. I better.
He also told me that I should, not try to be impatient about the countdown because Winston, looks pup to me. So.
Yeah, the countdown is a little bit off. I would say, like
looks up to me. Pup speak. So.
But I wonder, like, because as you were translating this white paper, right? What do you like? Because I did the interpretation. What could it be? And my interpretation, I made whole video about the white paper, and the interpretation from what I read, the Pupmos will have its token that will be serving as the DAO for multiple purposes, and it will be governance of multiple projects released under the Pupmos brand. That's what I read, that there could be the DEX, there could be some app where you can use the Pupmos token as collateral, and many others. Is it you had the same interpretation of the white paper, or maybe you got something different from that?
I mean, I'd say I have a similar speculation on what it might be, but it's hard to glean much from the paw number one that what exactly it's supposed to provide.
Yeah. Anyway, because I'm the biggest Pupmos fan. I actually spoke twice or 3 times on my channel about Pupmos. So I hope I'm not hyping this match, but I'm
I mean, I have wondered if I have a split personality and it's like in a Beautiful Mind type situation that, Pupmos is the prodigal roommate or the CIA agent that is, giving me drops, but it's actually me the whole time. Like that's totally possible, but
because we still do not have many apps on Juno network. Like for example, we have Neta, right? But we cannot
Right.
use Neta as collateral. So something like a paper bank would be great. We can use Neta and Patmos as collateral, right? Like I think that's missing pieces of the Juno. So that would help a lot.
Yeah.
It's so I'm waiting. Like we don't know when we don't know when it's gonna happen. I want you guys what do you think? Sorry for whining off, Evmos. What do you think will happen on Juno Network now with DAOs? Because now I see the new DAOs. I'm not sure if you guys follow this. There's new DAOs being, and I think there will be mass on them, and I think there is big speculation coming out to the first one that comes. And what do you think will end with? Like how this will end?
We'll end in a software evolution. So all of those software tools right now.
Like because I'm afraid there will be the mass of rags happening. There was new DAO. I don't want to say the name. I support them. Like I hope everyone will be successful. But what they did, they launch, and they basically launch at the liquidity pool. So they didn't do the first airdrop. They did 60% of their tokens into liquidity with very small supply of the tokens at the in the market cap of the project at 20K, which seemed to me as the very raggy start, because what it gives, hey, there's few people, you can buy out the supply out of the LP. Basically the people who are behind the project can do it. Then it's been then these people get involved into spreading the word on Twitter. The price is going to get inflated even to hundreds of dollars, and these guys live with few $100,000 in their bags, which is horrible idea. And I think people don't see it, that the launching on JunoSwap as the LP is very raggy stuff and very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, with any new permissionless system, there's going to be a few good actors with good ideas, with good intent that produce a system, and then there's going to be produce a system that generate value, and then there's going to be a bunch of copycats. No offense to Hulk Satoshi, that try to create a similar offering that looks legit, and then turns out it's a big rug and the liquidity is pulled and people are ending up with sadness. I mean, we see this all the time on BSC, where there's a new token launch because it's so damn cheap to deploy a contract there. Initially, in the ICO timeframe of Ethereum, it was the same situation. People would launch coins, and then no development would happen, and then suddenly, you see this nice spike of value, and then it drops off. NFT projects have gone through the same sort of thing. So I feel like it's the nature of the beast in a permissionless system, and that as a person using this new system, you need to be very critical before you ape in, and only invest what you're willing to lose, type thing. Don't bet the house.
I'm trying this channel not to be actually Jacob knows, I'm trying not to be around there, but I see these things start happening now. So I would like to say to people, because I saw the project doing starting basically with doing 60% LP value in project at 20K, and that actually did it might be legit, but this way of distribution seems to be horrible. Airdrop is very fair because this avoids this part from happening, especially if it's wide airdrop. If no one is exposed to heavily, this could be avoided. But then if someone at the start can get 20% of the supply, that's very dangerous thing, and it's also raise the questions about the legitimacy of the project. I see you, Jacob, not really agree with that.
Well, okay, check it out. So it's like this. All right, the software and tooling for DAOs is incomplete. If you throw a DAO on a liquidity pool, like to start with, one of the things that you're offering to the outside world is the opportunity to join and participate in that DAO. One that I'm probably going to join, but no, not chilling it. It's very, very weird. There's a DAO starting on Juno to manufacture some sort of longevity supplement.
NMN, I have big questions on that. I tried to ask this guy for the interview. I'm actually into NMN. I take NAD plus.
See, that's what we want to make. Okay, now check this out.
I want to.
Yeah, I'm very interested, and I'm going to join that DAO, even if it means buying some of their token or what have you. Not so much out of like investment, right? I want to see what's up. I think it is a very, very interesting idea. So I want to just sort of.
So I tell you what, I don't like. I like NMN. It's expensive. I'm buying it, right? There is the issue with this DAO, like, because are you a good lab that is able to produce 99.9% of purity of the compound? If you're
I'm not a lab at all.
So if this person is not able to produce 99.9% of purity of the compound, why would anyone buy the product produced by this DAO instead of using the lab with certificates that is able to produce pure compound, which is technically better, healthier, and more tested than the one you would get from them? The other thing
I figured you would check though.
The other thing
right?
This is unchecked product. So you basically get in the white powder that is unchecked. And
wait, I didn't even know that the DAO was directly selling it. I thought the DAO was working on like open sourcing.
Yeah, I don't know what they are going to do, like actually. But that's my assumption. I don't know how you could like open source that like you can buy this compound from the labs. So it's like, I don't know why we need DAO for that, honestly. Like I'm like asking the questions why, like, because I wanted to.
It's open source.
It's not patented. NMN is not patented or anything like this. Everyone can.
Well, for stuff like that, I believe it's the production method, right? And I don't know. I found the entire DAO like very interesting. It could be complete bullshit, though. I mean, I'm not going to. Yes, Richard. Yes.
And it will be. It will be available.
It do be like that, okay? It do be like that.
Everything will be there. Everything. And I'm actually, I would be more bullish. Like if someone like comes out and make DAO to produce illegal stuff, I understand. Or source illegal. I understand. I don't understand sourcing of the stuff that is widely available. That's the point. You know?
Well, I mean, I think that there's more of a mission behind it, and certainly, like, I mean, I wouldn't join the illegal drug production DAO, even if it was like an account that's away from my account, that's away from my account, that's away from my account. At the end of the day, nah.
Yeah, but also with the NMN, it's not proven. So like, I don't like this very big hopes towards project because we don't really have the full data if it actually works. It worked in the mouses, but humans are not mouses. That's also a very important part of the discussion.
Well, we're kind of mouses.
We kind of mouses, but many drugs work in mouses, don't work in humans. So that's also the thing. Joe, like, are you big on Juno? Because I don't know much about, like, do you have chain that you are most bullish about? The chain that you are really excited, not bullish, let's say excited to build on.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, it's the whole IBC thing coming together where we get that sort of Metcalfe network effect that Juno would allow you to have a contract that in a future version could like spin up Akash resources for you that could then like dial back to Juno, and so then you get this like really cool,
The
almost,
mash, the mash.
And
yeah,
And
yeah,
then you
like
start making little graphs and you look like that one
I,
paranoid guy
I
thing
asked
with
this
all those
person,
pieces of red
uh,
yarn everywhere. Yeah.
I asked this person in purpose, right? The reason, because I was asking you, Jacob, and maybe let's start with Joe. Because there is, let's take Solana, the chain that has great developers and a lot of money. Okay, and Solana claim that they are permissionless, and Juno claim that they are permissionless. And I want to, what is the difference between Solana permissionless and Juno permissionless? Because I cannot get this answer. It's it's very basic terms, but it's hard for me to get the answer from people.
I don't think that there is a particular difference until you look at how the chain is invested and the existing sort of consortium of not the existing like radium swap and the wormhole and stuff. It's sort of controlled by the funds that have gone into developing it. And so through that, while you could deploy your own versions of this, there's sort of gatekeepers happening at the current entry and exit points. But because it is in fact permissionless, you could create your own, except, will will there be validator driven allow list, deny list type things happening to block efforts to do that? That would be a very bad situation. But
So
I
that
don't
was,
think.
yeah, sorry for that was my idea, that Solana might actually, the validators might block the certain things because it's so much the venture capitalist and money driven. Is it correct to think this way, or?
If evidence of that ever happens, then it's going to really tarnish Solana, and
Yeah.
I think that you would see a fringe of it, exploding, saying, this is complete bullshit. A section of it exiting Solana permanently, and then probably a large majority being like, I don't really care.
Yeah,
So,
that would be probably the most of the people. That's the good point. I would like, even the Wolf contract tweeted, let's not focus on the price. It's a little bit distracting, right? Like, what's most
sure.
important is the innovation and the development happen. But in order for because now it seems the best projects come out from the core 1, core 2 teams, right? We have DAO app. Some validators build some cool projects, but this is as much as they could take. And for the continuous innovation, there is actually developers that need to come and build.
Right.
How do you imagine developers moving from Solana, Ethereum, Avalanche to Juno? Why would they move to Juno if they are already maybe advanced builders in the other ecosystems?
Most won't, but if they do, it's going to be because of IBC. It's going to be because of like what Joe mentioned quite specifically, the fact that a year from now or 6 months from now or whenever the necessary features land, it's going to be possible to put up a contract on Juno that will be able to control resources on Akash. And guys, this goes like this. This is a giant spiraling effect, and that's why Joe was talking about Metcalfe's law before. Because Joe, I don't know if you have predictions specifically on what Juno and Cosmwasm are going to be used for, but what is most fascinating to me, the thing that gets me the most excited, is that when we add CW to Dig, No, I actually don't know what people will do with that. And furthermore, they don't know what people are going to do with that when Dig begins to add all of these additional chains. Dig will be multiple chains because we wanted to keep it legally compliant. So, imagine a chain as a box for one jurisdiction, right? And so, like, the thing that really gets me most excited as a developer is there's almost boundless scope on what you can do with CosmWasm. There's also almost boundless scope on IBC itself, but the big key difference is that when we're working with IBC, to add a feature, when we're working with Cosmos modules, let's say, when we're working with Cosmos modules, to add a feature, you must upgrade the chain. This is a giant pain in the butt. And dangerous, as we just saw with Evmos. I'll tell everybody in the audience, oh, hey guys, I'm terrified of upgrading Dig. We're going to do it very soon, right? Why am I terrified? First time, I helped to write an osmosis upgrade before, but the one that we'll be doing on Dig is going to be like, the first one that myself and our team at Notional have done in its entirety. It'll be a pretty major upgrade. And this is a point at which you can screw up massively. And of course, we don't want to do that.
Is the thing that happened to Evmos maybe bullish point for CosmWasm?
I don't think we've gotten to that point yet. With Evmos, the nicest part is there's a huge corpus of Solidity developed contracts existing, and so you could have a deployment of Aragon, or you could have a deployment of Wyvern, or any of these existing things that are providing DAOs and NFTs and exchanges. You could have a sushi swap or Uniswap type thing built on top of Evmos as well. So it gives all those developers an option to say, hey, I'm tired of fees on Ethereum. I'm tired of waiting for ETH2. I want to go try something where I can deploy quickly and my users can use it quickly. So Evmos would be a solution for them. Rust is getting a lot of attention. You're developing on Solana. You're probably developing your contracts in Rust and deploying them and having a nice experience because it has the ability to prevent quite a few gotchas that Solidity's more JavaScript-like syntax and semantics don't really protect you from. So
yeah, the re-entrancy thing I think is relatively big.
Yeah, so Rust will bring you into a nicer nicer programming environment. So we can take that forward, and from the experience of the Rust developers, they can then say, hey, there's this other option of CosmWasm where I can deploy, sort of these Rust libraries and contracts and have a similar experience. But it's, we're still so early. There aren't really the fundamental libraries or go-to implementations. So there's a lot of opportunity in Juno to be the first one to develop something that's novel.
So like I see, Jacob, you responded someone asking about Agoric. I was actually talking to Tobias from SG1. I'm not sure if you know him, the Tobias. Tosh Dev.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of like a Tenderman.
I was, and he actually told me something that JavaScript has the limitations regarding it's very difficult to write the secure JavaScript apps or something.
Yes.
And this is the issue why the JavaScript doesn't seem like the perfect match. And do you think that's the downside of agoric maybe, and that will not, maybe that could be the point that it will not bring the adaptation of the JavaScript to blockchain.
Definitely don't know.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about contracts right now. In fact, before this year, before last year, before 2021, I really didn't think about smart contracts a lot. I kind of skipped ETH, a huge Bitcoin fan. Never really got into Ethereum. But then in early 2021, I was asked to join 2 contract projects. There's CW, and I'm not like on CW. I want to make that very clear. I'm not a major contributor to CW at all. I have made small contributions, but Juno is an implementation of CW, and I am a major contributor to that. And well, Richard, it could be. Again, the thing is, like, we have to get all of these things into production. So, Richard, questions about like security and performance claims, right? These really, I'll tell you how I measure it. And Joe, I'd love to hear your thought on my metric. When I'm like evaluating the security of financial software, I do it like this. So it's dollars per line of code over time. So like the longer it's been deployed, the better. And then how many dollars is each line of code holding? Because the more dollars each line of code holds, the greater the incentive is to attack it. And so, Richard, that math that I just did, right, it pretty much makes your question almost impossible to answer at this time. As CosmWasm, EVM on Cosmos, aka Ethermint, aka Evmos, and Juno, and Agoric. Wow, that's 4 now. Amazing. OMG. That's insane. Guys, for a very, very long time, the only viable contract standard was Solidity. So the fact that I just rattled off 4 that are going to be on Cosmos is really a pretty big deal. There's like, I wouldn't really call Substrate a contract standard, although it's something anyway. And then there's also the native Solidity, which is Rust as well. And there's like Dan Larimer's, EOS has something that is, I would say, analogous to CosmWasm. Not the same. Actually, in terms of like low-level execution speed, I think Dan's might be better. And in terms of like really awesome capabilities, I'd say that CosmWasm is better.
Yeah, I mean it's very much like the validator, game. There doesn't have to be one winner. There is a lot of benefit from sort of internal competition amongst these different languages and runtime environments, where one advances. We even see it on like Stack Overflow. What's the most popular programming language? At one point it's PHP, and everybody's writing PHP and Smarty templates, and it's the new whiz bang thing. And then all of a sudden, Ruby comes out. Now Ruby is the best thing in the world, and then everyone says, "Well, actually, we don't like Ruby anymore. We really like, Haskell or something."
Is anyone even using Haskell? I know one project that is written in Haskell, and there are still some people thinking it's a good project.
Yeah,
I don't think it sees a lot of like commercial use. I think it's mainly been an academic project. And
we're probably pissing off some grad student somewhere that really likes Haskell and functional programming. And then
I'm
like, God damn it, I'm going to make Haskell the language of the future.
Yeah,
maybe this is the push they needed.
I'm not programmer, but I enjoy like talking to people who are. So I get this from them. And for example, what I see is like the Jack Dorsey tweeting Rust is the future. So I'm like, oh, okay,
sure,
that's what I need.
Rust is neat. Okay, if I were to like geek out on a language right now, it would be V. I've gotten reasonably good at Go, and I think it probably took me longer than most to learn. I'm not formally trained or whatever, but I'm very interested in VLang because when I show it to people, like I showed it to Sunny Argwal and I showed it to Dave from Osmosis, both of them said, "Oh my God, this is Go syntax, but it has the security guarantees of Rust." And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what got me interested. Because reading Rust is like reading, I don't know, some kind of like freakish alien language. At least, yeah, I feel like maybe if you're coming from other languages, Rust has a lot of symbols in the code. I have not learned enough Rust syntax to like really be great with it.
Right.
Certainly, had to learn the basics of it just for Cosmwasm and Juno, but like I want to get advanced. It really looks like quite a learning project. Joe, I don't know if you've rusted before, and if you have an opinion on that, I'm curious.
I mean, I have not implemented anything in Rust, but I have looked at implementations to review it for folks, and I'm able to generally get a sense of what's happening. But like Go, there are implicit runtime assumptions you kind of need to have mapped in your head about what could happen, what could go wrong, because those implicit behaviors are less obvious than, once you learn C, for all of its, faults, it's very clear about what's happening and what can happen once you learn a few rules. Of course, there have been plenty of instances where people don't know those runtime exceptions, not exceptions, but those runtime considerations about memory management and such. And, we have all the CVEs forever. But at any rate, learning these new languages is learning how that runtime works more than the syntax. And so that for me has always been the difficult point of, okay, I've got to learn, the ins and outs of .NET now. Now I've got to learn the ins and outs of Rust's runtime, language and its cargo package manager and stuff. So
this is a fascinating insight to me. Okay, because I actually have not learned C. I have learned I can write C++ with boost libs, and it was really really painful to learn, but super super powerful, right? So what I just heard you say, I think, is that the tough part about both Go and Rust for you is actually that language runtime that's baked into basically like every application, and learning how that works, because low level C pretty well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I get conditional statements, I get for loops, I get variable declarations. Great, let's go. How do the Go functions actually work? How do they dispatch? How are they scheduled? How do channels actually work? How are they managed? What are the implications? What exactly does a nil interface do? So yeah.
Yeah. Now that's a really interesting coding insight. It's the sort of thing that makes me want to pick up one of those giant books on C and see what's up.
Yep.
Most compiler catches more potential errors, etc. than Go. You often do borrow crates though, which is a security risk. They can inject your smart contract with code, which is why Agoric argue their smart contract is safer. Richard, I'll tell you something that I'm really interested in is seeing what contract languages are going to allow you to write in the most terse fashion possible. One thing I don't like about CW is that actually, I mean, the compiled bytecode is relatively large. And you are uploading the compiled code. I don't know if Agoric works like GNU in the sense that okay, I hear you all want to hear something you probably haven't heard. So GNU-lang, and Joe probably knows this because you've seen Joe's name on the commit log.
The GNU is the GNU is the language being developed by Jake One, right?
That's right. That's right. And so what you would do writing GNU, you're uploading your contract's code, not a compiled binary. Solidity, you're uploading a compiled binary. And with Cosmwasm, you're uploading a compiled binary. And one thing that I noticed with Cosmwasm is those binaries are fairly large. And it's just like, I'm not sure. What is your thought on all that? Really, I'm curious.
I mean, it's the age-old problem since compilers producing executable code versus interpreters interpreting, high level language. It's the Java versus C argument all over again. And so we we revisit
Well, I
this
hate Java.
every 10 years or so. And so we're back at it again of, is it better to have a contract that is compiled to a bytecode, interpreted directly, or or compiled to native code that is then run directly on, the host that is executing it. So it's funny how this keeps repeating in history. Each one has their own merit. The nice thing about compiled code is that it's fairly static. It's hard to adjust after it's made static. The runtime can change things. The runtime can, effectively patch things in bytecode in a directly interpreted language that would have been difficult to do in a pure binary approach. The binary can still be patched, but we're like talking processor microcode updates, and it's like very rare that, well, not very rare, but it's not the most productive way to update things. But compiled executable code tends to be faster, tends to be smaller footprint, unless you're having to compile in everything, in which case, Golang tends to have this problem of everything that's imports everything.
With Golang, you end up with crazy huge binaries.
But they don't have a lot of dependencies, so bobblehead.
May I ask you if you know anything about GNO? That J is it going to be just the language? Is it going to be something more? Like I'm not sure if I heard well the plans for forking Cosmos.
I wonder if I can share my screen.
I wonder what is the thing with GNO? What's going on? What it's going to be? Just briefly, maybe.
I made a script the other day that sets up a GNO node,
and why Jay Kwon is tweeting so often recently?
Oh well, frankly, so I've known Jay since about 2016, and I do believe that when he's gonna do a thing, he goes off into his little corner in a very extreme way, and does it. And I believe he's been in his little corner in a very extreme way, working on GNO for some time now. Actually, guys, I don't know what range of technical abilities are in the audience.
So is it going to be a chain? Is it going to be a chain?
Yes. It's already a chain.
And is it what but what chain it is? Is it going to be smart contract platform?
Smart contract platform. Yes.
Smart contract. Okay, so another smart contract platform competition on Cosmos with their language that no one.
That's right. It will be. I mean, I don't know where the features line up to like a CosmWasm or an Agoric or even an Evmos. And guys, this is where it gets.
He doesn't like CosmWasm, right? So it's not going to.
Jay likes CosmWasm.
Is it?
Jay likes CosmWasm. Oh yeah.
Who told me he doesn't?
He does not want CosmWasm on the Cosmos Hub, and these are different things. So, all right, if you go to the Gaia source code repository, you're going to see this issue that I made over a year ago now. The name of the issue is Fat Gaia. It was referred to Gaia as my fat girl. What I meant is that, in Cosmos we have a set of, there are like some performance issues with the chains. And Gaia really is, she's quite a hefty chain. She's a big girl. And Jay's concern, all right, I wrote Fat Gaia when I was at Tendermint and we were reviewing the code for the liquidity module. All right. And my concern was precisely that, this chain is already quite big. Takes quite some time to sync already. And when we add this liquidity module to it, if there are lots and lots of transactions, what I was doing, I was like, I think I linked in the issue to the Uniswap transaction count. or maybe I did that in the Tendermint Slack. I might have been in the issue though, where I was like, okay, look, if we have this kind of transaction volume, that's going to get quite serious. It is going to integrate with the current Cosmos IBC ecosystem, yes, and it's going to take some time to do that. That's my understanding of it. For GNO, Jay has actually, it's very interesting what he's done. He has ripped down so much code, so many external dependencies, and tried to produce the most minimal version of what can support the GNOlang contract system. And what can I say? Like, I'm incredibly enthusiastic about it because it is something like new in this world. And also, I can tell you, Richard, that like I don't think the initial his short-term focus is not on IBC. His short-term focus is, hey, we need this new language to increase contract transparency. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm very, very.
Are you
pumped up
in
about
contact
that.
with Jay? Are you in contact with Jay? I would
On
like
and
to,
off. I
I'd
drunk
like to
dialed him the other
speak to
day.
him. I'd like to speak to him. Maybe I would even like keep speaking about the blockchain because he's quite into conspiracy theories. I could talk this with him. Like we know
It's
him,
just,
right? Like,
oh my god, the conspiracy theories episode with Jay. I'm more than happy to ask him. I think right now he's not really like doing public appearances much, but
never.
then again,
Yeah.
I love talking to Jay, and honestly, he's one of the brightest people I know. I have learned a tremendous amount from him, and you know, I'll ask him.
So
because I certainly am in contact with him enough to ask him. But he's not. Jay is a quiet person. I'll say that very.
I saw his, because I looked for the videos, his presentation. It's quite weird because when like this presentation from like 4 years ago, and you see the Jay that is very quiet, very sensible, but then you read the tweets and you feel like different person is writing these tweets. Like you can't, like it doesn't make sense to me, and that's like quite fascinating. I don't know if he always was like this, or like or he more becoming like this. But as we are with this, like you consider Jay like as the smart guy, I want you guys to ask, like I want to ask you guys, who are the smartest developers, people within the Cosmos ecosystem, maybe also within the smaller ecosystem of Juno? Do you have the people who you think, wow, they are absolutely something else?
I think they're mostly yet to come, and I think that's like a shared opinion. So Jay himself, is a trained computer scientist and really, really good at computer science stuff. Actually, oh my god, check this out. See the guy here? I can't get my fingers in the right track. I'm trying to point at Joe. Is a trained computer scientist and entering Cosmos, and like I genuinely think, I hope that Joe is representative of like the new crop. That as we expand the ecosystem, we can attract more hard CS types and actually help them to exit like their current work. And Max, sure, but you know what? Like, I don't think I'll ever be the world's greatest programmer. It's just I began programming at the age of 30 or so. So
I'm 31. It's good time to start to learn something basic for me, I guess.
Elbow cough. I don't know about elbow cough, but no, seriously, like, I hire better programmers than me. I'm very, very serious about this. Like,
something happens when you get to the best programmers, that they have devoted so much of their brain power to being a good programmer that they don't have the best ability to teach others about that programming and how to learn from it. And so to find the very best programmer, it's hard. But what I like to look for are the folks that, are able to sort of communicate the important parts and get others connected to the right groups. Certainly Ethan Frey is a fantastic programmer, a visionary in cryptography. The vectored commitments thing, I'm still trying to digest that from ICS 23. It's super complicated, but it's like the underpinning of IBC and how it works. But trying to understand it is, you have to go take some graduate school set theory courses to get it. But then we have people that
I had a call
are
with him, and I had to take a nap afterwards. He is really, really a brilliant person.
So Ethan Frey is the co-creator of Cosmoasm, right? Initially together with Shane. Shane Stars. I forgot the surname of the. So you consider the Ethan Frame to be really bright person.
Yeah, I would also say that Pupmos, so far, from what we've been able to see, his code has never crashed. Okay, like it's super performant.
Wow.
It has to be. He says he has zoomies, so he's like the fastest. Of course, we can't verify any of this, but I'm pretty sure it's got to be Pupmos.
Pupmos writes code. I didn't know Pupmos writes code.
So, Joe, you also train computer scientists, right? You are a trained computer scientist.
I mean, I got a bachelor's degree in CS, so sure.
And regarding Pupmos, I realized the Pupmos is something more in between his tweets when he was actually responding for the technical problems on the Twitter, and it was like, that's not a meme. Pupmos knows things. Maybe he doesn't know the English language very well, but it's fine. It doesn't bother anyone because we can all communicate well. So I'm actually very excited for Pupmos. I don't know what will be, because I've seen something that could suggest there is some osmosis fork coming as well, which would be very exciting. I don't know, but I've seen it on Twitter. I'm not sure if you've seen it, guys. The osmosis fork.
Wait, I just want to say, I want to make real sure that we're not talking about Seahorse. Seahorse will never be an osmosis fork, but there is this outdated page that describes it that way. And I have no ability to update that page, and it'll just be there, and it'll just be describing it that way, and it's just not what it is. Seahorse.
So I shouldn't say osmosis fork.
Well, Seahorse will not be a DEX. Can I say sometimes?
I don't know what was it. I'm referring to this screenshot from the Pupmos Twitter that was blurred out.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe there's
have you seen it? Have you seen it?
No, I have not seen this mysterious tweet. Very interesting.
So let me find this mysterious tweet for you. And meanwhile, Joe, so anyone else, so regarding Ethan Frey and let's say Shane, right? Two very bright people who has created Cosmoasm, and there was some, let's say, argument, some misunderstanding on Twitter. Did you see that, guys, with Wolf Contract? Have you ever had any touch with Wolf Contract, or what do you think of Wolf Contract? Because despite him being very public on the Twitter, we don't really know much about his background, his programming capabilities, if he's good at something, if he's a great thinker. So I would like to maybe learn more about what do you think. It's not very nice to speak about people, but we all trying to learn. So I want to know the opinions of yours about him and about this argument.
I feel like Wolf Contract values the self-sovereignty of Juno above all of the things that he tweets. And so through that, it's all about Juno's value is self-perpetuated, self-created. Yes, it's a merge of a few different pre-existing technologies, but the delivery, the packaging, the design, the maintenance, it all really came together. You could look at an iPhone or an Android phone and say, well, it's the sum of parts, right? But it's that sum of parts that creates the value and the accessibility.
Were you able to read the code that Wolf Contract wrote ever, like to know him from the side of the programmer, maybe?
I don't suppose I've looked at too much of the underlying Juno contracts. Certainly, I've looked at the overall daemon.
Because what the Shane said, not sure the Shane stars, what he said that there was a little bit argument on Twitter. So Wolf Contract Twitter that EOS, the blockchain, raised $1 billion, and it's basically it failed, let's say. And here is Juno that didn't raise anything, and it's essentially at the same market cap. And I hear like Patmos coding somewhere. Oh no, it's Jacob because I noticed that.
Oh yeah. So I was just typing that, like,
and and for what Shane responded that Juno is simply a fork of Cosmos that uses Cosmosm. Is it spelled like this?
Yeah, each chain is sort of they're each a fork of Cosmos, and they're each a fork of Tendermint, and they're all interacting together. So that argument to me feels like it's a bit specious, and so I don't subscribe too much to that. I do believe that if it was the intent of Cosmwasm to create their own chain and go that route, then yeah, maybe this is somehow stealing from their thunder. But I think they have.
Why they didn't do it, right? Is they could do it.
Because if they did, then why would you use Cosmwasm chain over Juno, over Dig, over all these things that are now integrating Cosmwasm? And so to me, I feel like their broader reach is achieved through not creating their own chain, but instead, being a component for other chains.
So this is my feeling too, and this is why I.
But what wasn't Shane a little bit like? I don't know why, because why you?
I think the upset was that Wolf Contract didn't acknowledge.
Yeah, but it's like
in 140 characters, right? So.
Yeah, but it's like you created the open source project, right? Like the.
Yeah. Well,
so
this is how we get into crazy licenses.
Why you expect to be acknowledged? It's open source. Like people will do whatever they want.
No. There's a big expectation of attribution.
Absolutely. I understand, but this is kind of what happens here. People put the things out, and they put Cosmosm out, and they are like, "Yeah, we will be acknowledged, and it will take time till people." And then you have Juno, and suddenly within 4 months, Juno becoming very vibrant, and it's like, "Hey, you should acknowledge us." But it's
I think that we should.
But there should be no expectation of that, I think.
Okay, so the way that it was licensed, there's no formal expectation. That's for sure. But should there be no expectation? I think that's different. Joe, I'll let you.
I think the point Wolf Contract was trying to make was that, unlike EOS, we did not have $1 billion wasted to go to production. However, the subtle missing part there is we were able to go to production by standing on the shoulders of et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that is what the issue was, is that acknowledgement wasn't there. And so then the request was, please acknowledge that, you did this. And it was like, I don't have to, but.
Yeah, but so. I also think that as you said, it's 140 characters, and what Wolf tweets, he wanted to have reach and be trending, and it seems cool. And that it wasn't really tweet that was about acknowledging, So I think this attack on him late bit of overreach, because I'm pretty sure he acknowledged that he knows, but this
I
tweet
hope
was
nobody was attacking him for that, because like I don't, I feel like it's pretty clear in the Juno community that like hell yeah, we owe a lot to Cosm Wasm. I mean, guys, I did the first Juno flavored Wasm D, and I'll make it extremely clear. Yes, it's from the Wasm D repository. Cosm Wasm / Wasm D, and I took that and I upgraded it to 44. And hey, it's Juno. Well, not exactly though, because actually Juno has a custom mint module. And there hella details, right? Technically, Juno was scaffolded with Starport, and then upgraded a lot, and there are significant differences between Juno itself and Wasm D. But at the end of the day, even though those significant differences are not like the biggest thing in the world at all, and yes, Juno, equates to Wasm D, and well, now Cosm Wasm has a killer app. And I think that might really be the most important part, actually. Is like, it seems to have worked. There's a growing, and I guess I can kind of speak from like a vendor standpoint. People come to us now and ask us to write Cosm Wasm. That certainly wasn't happening before Juno, that's for sure.
And I wonder if you are able to point to any like really good developers building on Juno maybe now to help people track the person. If you would have to point some people on Juno who's like really, oh, this is good dev. They built something good.
I don't think we have a breakout contract dev. Okay, a lot of these contracts.
Because we don't have Pupmos yet.
Please. Yeah, Richard. Look, I'm in full favor of finding a way to financially include them as well. And I think that as CW gets more and more adopted, look at what Osmosis did. Okay, Osmosis, formally. No, Brian, I don't think that's the case. Okay, and I wouldn't know. I don't know everything in the world, but I don't think that's the case. I think that as CW grows, I would just encourage chains to even make donations to it's Confia, that is Ethan's company, or to other early devs. Because for example, Shane, right? He's not a part of Confia. And this is hard, and it is messy, and welcome to open source, I guess.
I actually meant to talk to Shane. I was about to talk to him, but he rescheduled this after the Genesis meet. So I hope I will be able to talk to Shane, because I think he's really, he built some good apps in the past outside of the crypto. So I think he's really interesting developer to speak to. And looking forward to Stargaze. They have some delays. They have some issues. They found the bugs as well. Not sure if you were following. And Soy, he had some bitter words to you on Twitter.
Yeah, he's always bitter. He's a bitter dude. Anyhow, yeah, and they totally should have given them $8 million for Cosm Wasm, because what they were able to get with that is a completely custom implementation of it, and also now the Confio team is vested. Okay. They have a significant interest in the success of Osmosis. And this is something, I spoke with Sonny about this the entire way through.
I don't know anything about this Confio team.
Okay. So Confio is the team. Well, no, that's not entirely true. Confio is one of the teams that worked on the development of Cosm Wasm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that their main future product is tardigrade. And I think that is not going to be out for a bit. And, I'm in absolute full favor of the decision by Osmosis to comp Confio, and I suppose maybe there is a question of like, is that wide enough? And maybe there's an additional question of like, is paying per commit a good idea? I've looked at Cosmos up and down and up and down and up and down, and I've looked at it and I've wondered like, should we be paying people to close issues? That's something like in a blanket manner, where, but this gets into a question of like code evaluation, and I'm sure Joe knows like there's this audit and review burden when you want to bring a pull request in. Larger pull requests, they become even more difficult to review.
You know what? Yeah, so I didn't let you on osmosis.
No,
right?
no,
The circulating supply is 313 million right now, and the total supply is 325 with max supply of 1 billion. But it seems the total supply will have to be extended very soon. Is that correct?
The total supply on osmosis is constantly growing with every block. Yeah. Well,
So the coin gecko has the wrong
block,
info, but it's so it's like, is this model sustainable because the incentivized pools will have to probably fade away at some point?
The big question.
Because I understand that the start is important for building up very deep liquidity, and it's very successful. But for example, in the case of SafeChain, I think they failed by bringing too many projects at the start, not like Osmosis, very selectively building deep liquidity for each of these important chains, and that's why I think SafeChain absolutely miserable. Like that was horrible move because the dilution of the SafeChain tokens was insane, which basically they diluted heavily at the start, which I think I don't know how long the SafeChain can function the way it functions right now, right? So like this is this model of the constant issuance sustainable?
Okay, I mean, if you have an asset, it just inflates perpetually at several 100% a year. I think the answer is no. Now, the osmosis thirdening plan, I think that works, and Luke here is saying external incentives, and I think Luke is right. Guys, a really interesting thing happened with the external incentives for DIG, which is that, like, essentially it worked exactly the way that we wanted it to, which is to say that, okay, we were able to choose, well, we're going to incentivize 14 days. Soon we're going to put like a governance proposal on osmosis. We're going to ask osmosis to drop the 1 day and the 7-day bonding, and only incentivize 14 days for DIG specifically. And like what happened is we built really very significant liquidity for DIG. And I don't know if anybody else here has ever launched a blockchain and then tried to put it on exchanges, but like keeping liquidity is very challenging. The argument is that eventually APR will be pure swap fees. No,
I'm not sure. It's interesting to learn about raw token because I was thinking if the raw token will be even valuable because it seems raw token is only used for the external incentivize and DAO, but that wasn't much, I think.
I suspect that these governance tokens are going to end up being valuable. Okay? It's, in fact, this is part of like my bull case for Osmo. This is part of my bull case for DIG. And I'll give you another example. Guys, the star name, that blockchain is not doing super well economically. I suspect that Starname is going to be the first chain to flip itself to correct economic issues via code and governance. And I don't know when that's going to happen. I suspect it'll take some time.
You said
but that's like
what you said?
Star name.
Oh, like yeah. They are. I wonder. They have a big team. They don't have much money. It seems
they
like
do not have a big team. No, they do not have a big team. They do not have a lot of money. There
Oh,
were let's say that they were caught in my belief a swirling vortex for a little while.
but they
Um,
I think they struggle to find the identity.
yeah,
The
yeah,
star name,
that's
they don't
true.
know what they want to be. I mean, they try to be name, but I don't think they will be named. I don't think people will be using them because there is much better projects being developed right now, like name service on Juno, which is way better. Sorry, I'm sorry.
You don't have to be sorry. I mean, I'm a contributor to Starname, but I'm a contributor to lots of chains, and it doesn't hurt me any, right? But my feeling is that at some point, like the user community is going to say, "Well, hey, I figured out what this should be," and then very interestingly, I suspect that the consensus itself has value. Okay, the fact that there are machines all around the world running that code. They're ready to do something with it. Most of the validators at this point, they're definitely there just to get like exposure. I don't mean exposure like people's eyes. I mean exposure to the eventual asset. And I think eventually that will occur, and that's very interesting. So when we talk about like what's the long-term value for Raw or what's the long-term value for Osmo itself, well, I'm definitely looking toward governance. I mean, Osmo's had what 150-ish of props now. That's a lot, and I think that it's been used effectively. Also, I have probably got to run because it is nearly APOC time, and I need to run and
Yeah,
chase my
it's
computer and
really. I
stuff.
just want to show the last thing, because it's been quite long, and
Handshake
thank
is
you, Joe,
awesome.
for coming.
Nothing.
But here is the screen that the Patmos. It looks like osmosis fork, right?
From the front end, for sure.
And look at this
Yeah.
beautiful. It looks like the comets. Very beautiful. I think it's gonna change everything. It's going to be so many applications under the Patmos brand. It's going to transform everything. And
I'm not ready.
people don't realize that it will be all up, like it will elevate Juno network to the heights. Actually,
You can't have an osmosis fork on Juno. Just so you know.
100%. I will be talking about Pupmos in every single of my video till it will be the biggest. So I don't care. It's because I think this it would be just funny. It would be just funny if that would be the like really contract with many utilities. It would be quite cool. So I wish that. So thank you for the chat. I don't think we addressed everything. There is probably always something to address. Thank you, Joe, for like coming, clearing up some on Evmos, giving opinions. I think it turned out very cool. And through whole chat we had between 15 to 20 people, which is also like very, very nice. Thank you to everyone who was asking questions, and people can write questions to me that I can ask in the future others like Jacob or Joe. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have something to address next time.
Oh, I'm sure that something will come up and we'll hop on.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Alrighty.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, for coming. Give me my rewards in the epoch time, and I'll speak to you the next time.
All right. Catch you guys
Bye
later.
bye.